with that out of the way, we can go ahead and get into this first segment, which is going to be all about Daniel Jones. As you guys know, he was released from the Giants like last Friday, and he's been looking for a job ever since. He said that he wanted to play for a playoff team, and like several teams, for some reason, they were interested in acquiring him on their roster. I don't know why you would want Daniel Jones on your roster, but for the Vikings, it somewhat makes sense because Daniel Jones is not going to be starting for the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings, they're a 9-2 team right now, and I mean, he moved from a 2-9 team to a 9-2 team, which is like, whoa, amazing. And a lot of people on the internet are making a big deal about it, but he's not going to be starting. I mean, they're a 9-2 team for a reason. They did not need a quarterback, and with how Sam Darnold has been playing for the Vikings, it doesn't really seem like the Jones is going to take that starting spot or even be in like competition for that starting spot. Like whenever usually whenever a quarterback is winning for your team, you don't really like to change the quarterback unless something bad happens, whether he's injured or whether he starts playing bad or going on a slump. You usually don't want to change the quarterback out unless you're the Steelers, where they had Justin Fields. They were winning with Justin Fields, and a lot of people, when Justin Fields got taken out and replaced for Russell Wilson, a lot of people were a little bit upset because the Steelers, they were winning with Fields. It did not make sense to change the quarterback when they were winning, but Russell Wilson has shown why he deserved to be the starter and took the starting spot, because before he was hurt, it was already declared that he would be the starter for the team and that Justin Fields would be the backup. So I don't know why people were making such a big deal out of it, but that's their thing. But it would seem like the Vikings, they just wanted a backup quarterback just in case. I mean, it is Sam Darnold, so it's like there are times where he makes really some questionable decisions out there on the field. But they signed him for a $375,000 contract, according to Adam Schefter, who's on Twitter, and he's like, he breaks a lot of NFL news, and it would seem like that's how much they signed him for the rest of the season. And if he stays on the practice squad, that would leave the Giants on the hook for roughly $11.7 million. So he's still taking money from us. Well, not really taking them, it's money in his contract, but you guys understand the gist. But not much really changes for anybody aside from Daniel Jones. I mean, ironically, this was the team that gave Daniel Jones his first and only playoff win that for the Giants, and was the big reason as to why the Giants ended up extending him to that huge contract. Like, without that playoff win, Daniel Jones would not have made that much money and would not have been given so much money by the Giants. And ironically, here he is now getting helped out by the Vikings once again in acquiring a job. And nothing really changes unless you're, as I said, nothing changes unless you're Daniel Jones, because like he went from starting quarterback on a losing team to a third string quarterback on a winning team. So it's like, I don't really see the big deal with this change. There are some people that think that Daniel Jones might take the starting spot. I don't think that's ever going to happen. And I don't know. Like, a lot of people, they were talking as if he was going to be the starter, but I don't think that's really a thing, because I mean, the Vikings, like I said, they're 9-2, and they didn't really need a quarterback. Now, I don't know if they're going to really keep him for the next few years, and I have no idea whether or not he's going to sign with a completely different team. But this officially, it marks the end of Daniel Jones and his time with the Giants. It was not a good time, as you guys might have been keeping up, and you guys might know. But this is good for him. You know, he has a job, and I highly doubt he's going to lose his job if he's on the bench. But we'll see how it goes for the future. Again, it needed to happen. I was expecting him to get released to a new team. I didn't really, maybe towards the off season when when the season's already over, maybe he's going to try and find a starting job, but I don't know. It seems like third string quarterback is the right spot for him in this league, at least to me. So he's going to start on Minnesota's practice squad with Sam Darnold and Nick Mullins atop the team's depth chart, and according to Ian Rappaport, who reported this on Wednesday, earlier today. And this is so now the Cowboys, they can't be funny and they can't sign Daniel Jones because a lot of people, they were thinking that the Cowboys, they needed a quarterback, and people thought it would have been funny if the Cowboys signed Daniel Jones for one game to play against the Giants, and the Cowboys end up beating the Giants, because I think the Cowboys are going to beat the Giants anyway this year. But I mean, we'll see how that goes. I'll go ahead and go into that in the second segment. But it would have been hilarious had he left the team, because for some reason a lot of Giants quarterbacks and a lot of Jets quarterbacks, most of the time, whenever they leave to go to another team, they always tend to play better. I mean, we saw Sam Darnold, he ended up leaving the Jets, and here he is on Minnesota being 9-2. Now, I will say they might be 9-2 in spite of Sam Darnold. I mean, he does have his moments where he's just throwing too many interceptions and making bad decisions, but most of the time he's had his good moments. And then there's obviously Geno Smith, who was a backup for both the Jets and the Giants, and here he is on Seattle being the top team in their division. From what I can remember, that division is really close, but they did come on top against the Cardinals, and they're sort of putting pressure on the Cardinals to try and win out their division. I mean, they sit at 6-5 right now. Geno has not really been as good as we've seen him in the last few years, but these last few games against interconference opponents, because again, the last two games that they played were against the Niners and against the Cardinals, they ended up winning in both of those games. And now they sit 6-5 with the top spot in their division due to a conference tiebreaker as of right now. So, I mean, we'll see how the rest of the season goes, but they're also the number one team in their division. The Vikings, from what I can remember, they're not the top team in their division. I mean, they're close to being the top team, but when you're in a conference, when you're in a division, with the Detroit Lions, it's really difficult to be a top-seeded team over there. And like we see this trend, so maybe Daniel Jones is going to suffer from that exact same trend where he just performs even better, not on the Giants. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I'm not entirely sure whether or not Daniel Jones is going to even be in the starting lineup, but if he was still on the Giants now, there wouldn't really be that much of a change. I know Tommy DeVito is out with an injury, at least according to recent reports, so I'm not entirely sure whether or not he's going to be playing in the next game, but Jones drew, apparently, before signing with the Vikings, he did draw a lot of interest from non-playoff contending teams where he might have seen the field a little bit sooner, but I guess he's just waiting for free agency for that. And he said before that he wanted to play for a playoff team, so I guess no other better playoff team than the Vikings to play for. But we'll see how it goes. I don't think it's going to really be something positive. Then again, it's Daniel Jones, so nothing is really positive with him. But he's got a job, so we'll see whether he keeps the spot on the roster or if he goes somewhere else in free agency. But that's all for the first segment. So now we're going to go ahead and go into the second segment, where I do a little bit of a preview of the games that are going to take place on Thanksgiving. There's going to be 3 of them, so I'll talk about that right after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in